What's up, everybody? It's Ormy Willis. I'm back again, and I wanted to take some time to go over Class 3 for Fullsail University. For those of you taking the same degree as me, that would be your game design class, which, as I was told while taking this class, has moved from your sophomore year, so being something you would take in the later end of like 10, 12 months in to now at the beginning. And they said they did this as a way to give people insight on exactly what you're doing with the degree to help you determine if this is still the path that you want to take or if there is possibly a different path you want to take. Uh, I personally came into the class after, smoking the first two classes thinking, I got a hang of this, things going to get easier. And the first week, you're going to feel exactly like that. You're going to feel like, oh man, it's easy. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Uh, let's go here. So you'll have your overall activities that you'll have to do, professionalism, go over that stuff. You do an academic honesty test where they'll test you to see what you've actually gained from doing the first two parts. So the academic honesty, the professionalism, they'll see if you actually read it by giving you a test, which is 1% of your grade. Not a big deal, but overall, it can actually play a huge role in what kind of grades you get. As you can see up here, I'm sitting just under a 95, all depending on when I turn in my 4.1 assignment, but we'll get to that in a second. In week one, you'll get here and you'll get your welcome to game design, and then you'll start your lessons. Unlike you had in previous classes, there's not really going to be a community chat box like before. When you get to this class, and probably similar for other classes and other degrees you take, you'll start using Discord, which is a chat like this, and you'll get your Discord chat for your class. As you see here, these are a list of all the instructors who are on this Discord, and then you'll have a list of all the students. So GD1O is all the students that are online, and then GD1C are all the students in the classroom. And they can come here and they can ask all their questions and get some one-on-one time and teachers, which is something completely different than what we had before. Because before, you pretty much sent a message to your teacher and then you get a message back, or you communicated with your class all through the website. That changes because you're going to need a lot more interaction time with your the other students who are also taking the degree with you, where you might need to set up a game and then use the other students as your play test, which I didn't do, mostly because it was just too complicated to try to make my game work the way the site they give you to use to build your game in. Mine was just too complicated to work for that, and that's mostly because I just made things more complicated for myself. But as you can see here, you'll do that. You'll do your reading, which is, all the information on what it is to be a game design. You'll have reading on, like, these meets is actually not meetings at all, which I think they should rename. But it's telling you where you need to do your reading. And of course, it'll be complicated because I'm hoping they improve it, being that this is one of the first classes they had where they moved it forward and changed some stuff in this program, in this particular class in particular. Uh, I'm hoping they improve by changing some of the wording they have in things and just making it clearer for students. For you guys out there, just to give you guys insight of what you're going to be needing to do in this class and to give you something you can work on prior to getting to this class so that you can be better prepared for it, I'm going to go over what exactly you're doing here. So instead of paying attention to all that stuff because they're going to tell you, oh yeah, go here and do this for the reading, really, you just go down to the My Connect. You'll hit My Connect. I'll open a tab here. You go to My Connect. You sign in. Once you sign in, you'll follow down on here, and you'll see it says Safari Books. As soon as you click on it, it'll automatically connect you to Safari Books for any reading that you have in any of the classes going forward. From there, if you've opened the book recently, it'll automatically pull it up in recent books, players making decisions, and boom, now you're here. You just click on the book, handcuffing decisions, and boom, it'll take you to the reading. and you'll be able to do whatever reading is necessary for that. Uh, you're going to have to do this quite often. So as you see here, reading, then there's more discussion stuff on what you need to do in the class and, insight that the teachers type out and give you. And then you're hit with more reading after that, and then you'll have tests. As you can see, the tests get a lot more complicated than they were before. There's 12 questions. I'm not going to show you guys what I got right or incorrect because that would break the rules. You guys have to pass that too. But you'll get to take the questions. Unlike before, you won't get your answers to know what you got. You'll get a immediate response to your grade, but you won't know what you got right or wrong until the week after, or till, I guess, a day or two after the due date has passed. And the reason they do this is so you can't cheat and give the answers to other people. Um, I would definitely say what you could do is what I did. I clicked on the test to get an idea of what questions they were asking me. And then I went and did the reading to make sure I focused on whatever it is that needed to be read. That way, when I went back to the test, I was able to take the test in confidence, knowing that whatever they were going to ask me, I would be able to answer for the most part. As you can see here, on my assignment, I missed a piece. And I missed a piece because my documentation for this. So they're going to give you some documents on game design, and they're going to send you to the websites. They're going to go over draw.io and some other stuff, and I'm going to go to that. So for those of you that need to learn how to get to Google Docs, you go to Google. Then you click this little icon here. You scroll down, and it'll say Docs. As soon as you click that button, it'll bring you to Google Docs, and you'll be able to go to assignments. From there, you just click on an assignment. Like for you guys are going to have to make one, and you have to pull up the template and adjust it. But you'll make the assignment. You'll go and make your modifications and whatnot. We'll get back to that in a second. But they're going to run you through in the first week how to do this and how to copy and paste the stuff, just to give you a general idea. But I didn't like it because it doesn't actually teach you what is actually necessary for week 2. They just have you do copy and paste, and you're kind of like, that's what this class is going to be about, copy and pasting. And then you're hit with, they call these showstoppers, things you can get zeros in. As you can see, you're going to have to put your name. They want you doing Google Docs. Don't do it on WordPad and copy and paste it to Google Docs. If you do that, you will lose points. If you do that, you will lose points. I promise you. Documenting formatting has changed and are being moved around, or documents have errors with listings such as bookmarkings. That's what I lost points on. In this class, pretty much in this school, there is no easy way at all to make those points back. The rubrics are like 8-point intervals. So getting one thing wrong, one thing could automatically net you 8 points lost. That means you went from a 100 straight to a 92. And if it's 2 things wrong, you went straight to a 84 or 86, and then it keeps going in integers like that. So you could get 3 things wrong and end up with a 76 grade. That's how, I don't even know the word to use, but that's just how great of an impact each simple thing on your grade can make. And as you see, just 2 92s dragged my grade down to a 93.3 in week 1. In week 2, you see I finished with a 91.5. And the reason being there is I only got a 90 on the test. It was 10 questions, missed 1, boom, down to a 90. The assignment for week 2 is where things got really difficult, because you're going to have to make a game, come up with your 3 meaningful choices, So I'm going to elaborate on exactly what that means. You're going to have a bunch of rules on what your game can have, and it's going to be like a card game. So you're thinking a card game, that's not going to be difficult. You cannot use playing cards. Yes, regular playing cards, like poker cards. These cards, you can't use these. You have to make your own cards. Don't even think about using those cards because you're going to have to create your own cards. Repurposing a standard 52 card deck to create a game without modification, i.e. A's to represent a village, you can't do it. I wasn't sure. This is one of the things I was telling you guys about the rules not, they said repurposing, so you think, oh, I can still use it as long as I don't use the cards to represent something else. No, you cannot use cards at all. That's straight clarification from my instructor here. Don't even use them. Don't even use the cards. Make your own cards. It's not hard. You can make your own cards, and they look really simple. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean by pulling up a picture of my cards. This was my prototypes, and that was just to do my card layout diagram. Boom. I designed them on the internet. They look really good, but those aren't the cards that people actually played with. I'm going to show you guys those as well. See, they're really flimsy, and I didn't do a backside. That was just to do that part because you won't get into the playing part until much later. As you see down here in my pictures, I tried using these by drawing on the back. They got wet. I ended up going back to using regular cards, which he understood because I explained to him why I had to use regular cards because my other cards got wet. But it could have hurt me. Here is where you see I had created my own cards. They're nothing special. They're simply different colored blocks, and then I took with a pen and wrote in the numbers or whatever, except for the special cards like the warrior card and the king card, which I printed all those out. But if you don't have a bunch of ink for stuff like that, you can simply just print out some basic layouts of your cards, color in the squares that you print out with whatever colors you want, and then go from there. I just did it this way because I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of work. So I just printed it out to make it as easy as possible and just wrote in the numbers. It cost me a lot of ink, especially being that over this course of this class, the whole 4 weeks, I've had to make my cards 3 different times. I have kids, so excuse me guys, but kids make mistakes. My daughter spilled something on my cards the first time, the second time, and the third time I dropped them in the snow because we had a really big snowstorm that hit us like at the worst possible time, beginning of week 4. So I kind of damaged my cards. But you guys get what I'm saying. You got to take care of them. As you see here, these are not solid cards. They're literally pieces of printed paper that I cut. I put a Magic the Gathering card behind them, and I threw them inside some card sleeves. Card sleeves were like $4 at any place you can buy playing cards, like trading cards. Print some paper or whatever. If you really want to, you could take the time to like draw out your cards. As long as they fit in the sleeves, it's legit. Like you see, the tops of a lot of my cards are cut out. They don't care about that. As long as the players can play and understand what your cards are, that's what it is. Um, you're gonna have to take a lot of pictures. As you can see here, when you're doing all your testing, when you get into week 2, because testing is week 2. From here down, this is week 2. They want actual pictures of all of your play tests. Every last time you have somebody test, they want pictures. Then we get into my detailed rules, which starts week 4. And what you can't see here is I actually had to delete out all the stuff that said week 2 and week 3, week 4. You have to delete all that stuff out. All the blue text, you have to remove it. Like here, you see they don't care about the little dot being blue, but there's a bunch of blue, not this because you'll have to highlight that, but I'm going to go down so I can give you guys an example of what I mean. Like right here, the void card was not discarded. You're going to see text littered all through the page for each week, littered in blue. And you're going to have to go and delete all of that blue writing out. They're going to tell you where and when to highlight things so that they know these were changes made, and they're going to be watching to see what's actually changing from week to week. As you can see so far, I'm at 35 pages of stuff, and I'm not even done with this assignment to turn it in for this week, and today is my final day. Uh, I'm done with all the testing. I just have to do all the writing up and explaining everything. But you can see this is your project. You start from week 2 all the way through to week 4. And we're going to get back to why that's important, but we're going to get back to 2 so I don't lose track of where we are and explaining this stuff to you guys. So your game can't have violence at all. When I say violence, that means no hit points, no killing off another character's card, none of the stuff like that. So you're probably thinking, oh man, I can't have... You can have things like where you mess with other players. For an example, in my game, I have it where players can take a card from another player and give them a card they don't want. The draw to this is they can't see what card they take from another player. And I'm going to have to go back to my example to show you guys exactly what I mean by that, because pictures help with visualizing what it is I mean. So here in my rules, you'll see that Jacob, which is the hand you see, is taking a card from Bridget, which is the person holding her hand. He can't see what card he's taking. And Bridget's face, as you can see, is like, oh no, because he happened to take a card that she actually needed. There's for her and him, it's happen chance. It's happen chance that he gets something he needs. It's happen chance that he takes something that she needs. He doesn't know. It's a game where your poker face plays the biggest role. Because I could be hovering over your card. As long as I don't touch one, I don't have to take it. So I could be hovering like, I want to take this one. And then you're like, your face start changing. And then I move over to a different card. And it looks like you don't want me to take that one. And I take it. And that ruins your plans. You never know. The card you get could be something you need. Or it could be something that sets the other player back. And being that this is a point-based game, that's important. But you can't have, outside of that, you can't have straight up violent things. So I can't kill your card. They don't want anything like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't want any trivia games, so they don't want cards where people got to answer questions and stuff like that. They want it to actually be a game. And this was difficult, mostly because it requires you to think completely outside of the box. They don't want any like-minded stuff. They don't want any Call of Duty-esque games. They don't want copy and paste from somebody else's game and slap it together and be like, here's my game. It's just, it looks different, but it's the same game that you played over here. They want you to come up with your own game and your own design. And believe me, they'll know. They don't want you stealing somebody else's game who may have taken this course a year or a few months before you. They will know. And they will give you zeros. That's what showstoppers mean. They automatically result in a 0. They want you to make the template, like I've said before. In week 1, they give you a Uno GDD that they have you do, and they want you to use your own template, not the Uno GDD that they give you down here, as you can see. They'll give you the templates. They'll give you the all-v-all module, so you can look over in the cooperative module to give you an idea if you want to make your game all-v-all or cooperative, and you'll go through all the reading on all that stuff. But this just gives you an idea. This is where that document starts. And when you do the first week, it's going to expand. So you might start with it saying like 4 pages, but by the time you're done writing, you're going to be somewhere closer to 10 pages, if not more, to explain your game, because it's going to go in detail. But as you can see with the rest of week 2, you'll have that assignment you have to turn in, putting card games online. A lot of this stuff's not worth nothing, but you can see that's 15% of your grade. And that's important, and the reason why I'm iterating on this so hard is because that 15% of your grade is a continuous cycle of 15%. So if you don't put the time and effort into your game in week 2, it is going to hurt you in week 3 and in week 4, which means it's going to continue to hurt your grade. Put in the time and the effort into it. My game itself, the time and effort was there, so as you'll see when I go to week 3, my grade improved. Boom. The grade improved because I put the time and the effort into the grade. Where I was hurt, and you see, it's still worth 15%. Where I was hurt was just how I put the document in, and that's the only thing that hurt me in week 2. Um, as you can see, my grade for the test in week 3 is what really brought my grade down, and I only got 80% because I got 2 of the questions wrong. Um, really pay attention to all the reading. It says 3.1, and in all the classes leading up to this class, when you take a test, usually the assignment that says 3.1, this one here, is what's on the test. But in this class, it's different. Everything, everything, including this here, even though you see it pops up after the 3.1 test, all of the reading is actually in that test. And that was confusing because you see it says 3.1 and it says 3.1 test, so you think it's only going to be 3.1. But that's not true. I want you guys to know that now. I took the test without doing this part first, and those 2 questions that were from this part are exactly what hurt me on that test. Do all the reading for the week, then take the test. Because I don't want you guys to have the problem I had, or even worse, where some of the reading might escape you when you take the test, and then you come out with an even worse grade. Do all the reading. Please, please, please. Do all the reading. It will help your grade going forward because things will only get harder. And everything you do in this class, the reason why they moved it to the beginning, this is a foundation class. So everything you do in this class pertaining to game design, even though you're designing an analog game, which are board games, card games, things of that nature, are all the foundation blocks to video game development going forward. So this is vitally important to the rest of your degree here at Fullsail. So please take the time to put in as much effort as possible. This may be an online class for you, but just because it's online doesn't give you the right or an excuse to slack off. I have accommodations, which means if the situation needs be, I can turn in assignments late, but I'm not using that as a crutch. I turn in my assignments at the same time everybody else do, or I try to make it a thing to do them in the same time period everybody else have. I put in optimal time into all my assignments. Battlefield 5 just came out. I haven't been playing it because school comes first. I got friends that want to hang out. I haven't been doing it because school comes first. This is where they're really going to see how well you prioritize putting school first. And believe me, we started out with over 500 students. When we got to this class, there is not 500 students anymore. A lot of them are failing out or quitting just because they can't handle it, because they can't prioritize. It's not because the homework is difficult. It's not because the schoolwork is difficult. It's just simply people not prioritizing like they should. Excuse me. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Allergies. Um, as I said before, you'll get to the 3.1 assignment, which is just getting into the testing. This is the part where week 2, you made your game. Week 3 is testing and improvements. So you're going to do a test. You're going to take some notes. I highly advise when you do the test, if you got friends and family, I would say that's the easiest way to do your game. Is to sit down right in front of people and watch them play your game, because then you can address things right then and there. And you can catch things, and you can pause things where you need to pause it. Whereas doing it online, it's going to be a little more complicated because you're not there with the people. At the same time, I think there's plus sides to doing it online versus in person, because I've noticed in my tests, just because I'm there, even though they have the rules and pictures and everything, as you get further along, you'll keep improving your game and you'll add all those things. People still look to me for confirmation on the game I created when they're reading the rules. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if it's just because I'm there and they know I made it, they just feel more comfortable asking me, audio. People got different styles of learning. But all of that is important for your game because all of that is information that you need to take notes on. So I don't know if you have a notebook, go to Dollar General, Dollar Tree, a dollar store somewhere, get a few notebooks, make a notebook specifically for this class and this assignment, and I would highly advise you, every time you do a test, you just sit down and take notes of everything that everybody is saying. Even key things like you peep in like, this person is just sitting here for a long time. They look confused. Put that down. Even if they don't say anything and they pick back up and they're back to the game, put it down. If people are doing other things like when it's not their turn, they pick up their phone and they're on Facebook. Write that down because that means they lost interest in what is going on in your game during that point in your game, and that means at that point in time you need to go and figure out what you can do to improve and increase the interest level in that game. And you'll learn about all that stuff in this class. I'm not going to go into detail because I'm going to try to keep this video as short as possible. But all of those things are important. So please get a notebook. Make every time you do a test, put test one across the top of the page and just blast notes across the page. That way, when you get to the point where they're asking you a bunch of questions, and I'm going to go back to that document to help you guys better understand what I mean. When you get to the point where it's asking questions, like you guys can't see here because these are just my answers, but they're going to ask questions. And the questions, they're going to want detailed answers for those questions. And if you can't answer them, you're going to put yourself in a bind. Let me see if I can pull up the old document. Okay, so this is the old document. This is my week 1. As you can see, it's very different from my new one. So, setup, you'll put in your flow chart. You'll go down to your meaningful actions and whatnot, your card game template, and then that's it. This is your Uno GDD that you have to turn in. Then you get to week 2. This is where you got to turn in your first version of your assignment. I kept all these things just so I could show you guys exactly what's going on. So I have to put my name. I have to put the name of the game. You're going to have to put your assignments like this. So you're going to have to put your last name, your first name, assignment, the number of the assignment, and you need to save it as a PDF to turn in. It has to be a PDF. Your flowchart and stuff, when you do that on draw.io, you need to export that as a JPEG, as an image, so that you can place it inside your PDF when you get to this part. And you'll be doing that on Google Docs. I'll go back over that towards the end. If you guys, as a brief note, if you guys have any questions about any of this, or you feel like you want me to iterate more on any of it, please write down something in the comments below, and I'll go into more detail to explain it, or I'll write you a message back as a comment to explain what I mean. But we're going to continue on from here. So this is my game. Boom. We get down here. I did my card table layout. Like I said, I did a mock-up just to give them an idea what it's like. And then you get down here. See? Detailed design and testing assignment, week 3. As you see right here, there's tons of blue stuff here. And they want you to do a whole bunch of testing. And this is what I meant by the questions. So they're like, how did the results alter your game? They want to know how the results of your creation or the changes in your game alter your game. They want a picture every time you do a play test. They want you to keep track of how many times players, including yourself, the designer, had to ask for rule clarification. They want to know how many times people get bored. They want all the information because by the time you get to playtest 5, you're going to get into the reflections. And as you can see, the reflections, they want a lot of information. And this is what's going to drag your document from being like 15 pages all the way up to 30, 40 pages, maybe even 60 pages of stuff, because you're going to have to go back and go through all this information and put in all that information for the reflections part of your assignment. And you're going to have to do this each week. So week 3, you're going to have a reflections, and then when you get all the way down to week 4 after test 10, boom, you're hit with another reflections. And then you got a final reflection, which is just you reflecting on the assignment as a whole. I tell you this is important because everything you write down is what's going to help you improve your game. And if you're the kind of person that thinks, oh, my game's perfect, and it's not having improvements, you're wrong. No such thing. In this class, it's going to help you see there's no such thing as you go into game development, you got an idea, and your idea just kicks off from there. This is a prime example of how You put out an idea, and your idea is going to completely change. The premises of the idea is going to be the same, but it's going to change over and over again. As you guys can see here, these are some of my images that I have inside my Fullsail folder for school of the images I used inside my document. And each time you do, you're going to need different images. So these are the ones for week 4 that I put down. That one's one I kept from all the way back in week 2. My flow chart, my original one, then your modified flow chart that you're going to have to make in week 4, and all that stuff. So you're going to constantly see changes, constantly. I want the guys to show you guys this. So you go to draw.io, and you're going to make a flow chart. This is my modified flow chart, but your flow chart needs to key in key important things. I'm going to go over something that they didn't go over in detail, and this is something that a lot of people had problems with because I'm not going to say the guy's name, but there was a guy in my class who got a 56 on his week 2 assignment, and he was bummed out. He was at the point where he was willing to quit, and only because I kept asking questions. That is something that is very important in this class. Ask questions. Don't be the kind of person that says, whatever, I got it, I'll just figure it out. No. Everything we do hurts our grade, and your grade is hurt heavily from every single thing you do wrong. So ask questions. If you got a question, ask it. If you have a question to me before you even get to this class, ask it. Because I can probably answer now that I'm at the end of this, and you guys saw where my grade is sitting at. It's not perfect, but I strive for excellence and success. So as a person, whether my grade goes down from a 94 or I finish with an A+, I'm the kind of person that wants to get the best possible grade, because to me, getting the best possible grade means I am understanding the content laid before me, and it means I put my best foot forward towards doing the class and understanding the class. Maybe you're not like me. I could have very well got, and at one point I thought I was going to finish this class with a B or a C, but be driven, ask questions, be respectful, but if you're concerned about something or you don't necessarily agree with something, go to your instructor. Be respectful about it. Excuse me, Mr. Montanez. This test that you had me take, it didn't have these two things. It was a multiple choice question on this test. It was asking me about different curves. I did the reading. I went back because I remember this question to the reading, and there's only these two curves mentioned. But you had 2 other curves mentioned, but I had to pick the one that wasn't in the reading. So I picked one of the 2 that weren't in the reading, being that only 50% of the answers were in the reading, the other 50% weren't. But we're only allowed one choice, and I got that question wrong. Could you help me understand where I got it wrong, or where in the reading I missed this, or was this just a mistake on the test? I'm not trying to step on your toes. I'm just curious because I'm lost. I don't understand. If you go to your teacher like that, they will help you. They won't feel like you're stepping on their toes. They won't feel like you know better than them. They will help you, or they will make corrections where they see corrections need to be made. If you come to them like, oh no, this grade can't be right, whatever, man. Yeah, like y'all don't know what they're talking about. This stuff don't make any sense. Then you come to them with a negative attitude, and they're not gonna want to help you. If you get what I'm saying, they're the teacher. So at the end of the day, they're judge, jury, and executioner, and they're gonna play a heavy role over your grade. Not as heavy as the role you play yourself over your grade, but they're still in the one grading it. So how they interpret things is important. You're going to have other instructors that you can ask questions of, but each instructor is different, and how they perceive things is going to be different. So sure, you can take advice from a instructor, but if it's something that you know is particular, you need to ask your specific instructor to make sure that that is right. Or send your instructor a message. I'm going to go back to here. Go here. Click on your instructor name. Send them a message and tell them, hey, excuse me, I talked to instructor such and such on Discord. They said that this, when I asked them this question, was okay. I just want to reiterate that back to you, that I talked to instructor and they told me this instructor name. Excuse Excuse me. I need some water. Take a screenshot of it just to show you talk to the instructor. Throughout my time in the military, I learned one thing. Evidence is everything. So I don't care what it is. I take screenshots. I take pictures because you don't want to run into a problem. One of my buddies who's also taking the same degree as me at the same time as me in a different class, he went the first 4 weeks of this class without getting any instruction from his instructor. The problem with that being is when you get to week 3, you have to update your game based on the feedback you receive from your playtest and the feedback you receive from assignment 2. Meaning, if you're not getting feedback, there goes part of your problem for your next grade. Remember, I told you, this is 15% of your grade. You have to do this 3 times, and 3 times is 15% of your grade. You add it together, that's 45% of your grade. Meaning, in not doing this or getting bad grades in just these 3 parts, that could be the difference between you passing or failing this class. So ask the questions. Go to your assignment. Take pictures of everything. Because if you're like him and you're stressing out, it's Saturday and you still haven't got your grade for your class, each week starts on Monday. And you turn in your assignments on Sunday each week. So that means you're already starting on the next assignment before you got your grade. So if it's Wednesday and you don't have a grade yet, that's hurting you because that's preventing you from continuing on with the next assignment. Sure, there's parts you can do, but what if there was something vitally wrong with how you did your assignment 2? That's going to affect all your play tests and all your updates that you make going into 3. You see what I'm saying now? Like that's vital. That's important. So you need to contact your instructors. You need to take pictures. Go to your FSO if you have an issue and you say, hey, my instructor has not gotten back to me with my grade. I'm concerned. I need this grade in order to continue the assignment because I don't want to get a bad grade. When my buddy, going into week 3, it was Saturday when he finally got his grade from his instructor. Saturday. The assignment's due the next day, and he's got to do 5 different test groups, 5 different groups of people to test his game. And you cannot be... That's something I didn't tell you guys before, so I'm going to throw this in as a keynote. You can test in your game for the first 3 tests, but the last 2 tests, you cannot be part of the test. In fact, you can't even explain rules to the players anymore. They need to be able to read your rules, especially in week 4, and play your game without your assistance. And if they need your assistance, that's something you have to note because that's something you need to improve on. It needs to get to the point where you're thinking about this game as if you're going to ship it out to the masses. The masses are not going to have you there to ask you questions. The rules are going to be all they have. So the rules need to be detailed, clear, and understandable enough to the point where 4 brand new people to your game can sit down and play it and not have any issues. Just that simple. Boom. Cut and dry. This is something. This is the only time in this class where you're going to have a discussion that's actually in here. And the only reason why, I'm going to show you guys right here, is because they want you to discuss, now that it's week 3, all the stuff you have about your game in a 500-word written out document. Boom. And they want pictures. I didn't say that. I'm looking for it. I don't remember where it is in here. I'm not going to keep taking up too much time on it, but I'll just go to my posts. As you can see, everybody posting. Look, pictures. 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 I'll go down to where mine is. See mine? I posted the pictures directly into the document so people can just see them from there. And then people will write something to me. You have to respond back to other people, and you have to give 2 responses. They gave you practice of this in your previous 2 classes you took, so you should be used to responding, and you should have an idea of how to respond. That's going to hurt you. You see, this is for, as they wrote down here, you have, this assignment is week 3 and week 4. and it's 4% of your grade. So if you're teetering on success or not, if not anything, this is important. You might think 4% is not a lot, but like for me right now, that 4% is the difference between being a 95 or a 94, being an A or an A plus. It could be the difference between you getting a B or an A, or a C or a B, or a C or a D. So treat every part of this grade with importance, because as you saw, there was times where things weren't as good for me in previous parts, where they got better here, and right now they're looking great here. But even still, even with grades that have progressively gotten better throughout time, I'm still on gonna finish, even if I finish at best with a 95.54, an A plus, just barely an A plus. Where in previous grades, I'm gonna show you guys what I mean. In previous grades I had, I'm sitting on A pluses, as you guys can see. An A in this class, and again, it's where I barely missed an A plus by a little bit. And then in this two parts, I got an A plus. And in this class, I'm bouncing between an A or A plus. So it means a lot. It means everything between you getting the best possible grade or the worst possible grade. And there are people in my class, there are people in this course who don't finish. They've told us time and time again, you'll start with 5, 6, 7, maybe even 1,000 people taking the same class as you, and by the time you get to the end of this class, you've already lost a fourth of the people that were taking that degree. Either because they couldn't handle it, they figured it out that it wasn't the degree for them, or simply they didn't put in their best effort into passing this class. And if you're like me and you're really passionate about gaming, game design, all things that is gaming, then it's in your best interest to put every ounce of love and care you can, because this is your baby. This is your grade. This is what they're going to see. All the work I put in, this is all going to go in your portfolio. This is all going to be your grade. All of that is what these companies that you want to work for are going to see about you at the end of the day. So you need to put in your best foot forward and your best ideas, your best plans, etc., etc. It's important. I'm personally doing my best to try to get this assignment in. As you can see, this only 1%, and this one here, excuse me, this one here is actually just kind of like an assessment to help them see where they can improve on the class. And they have you go to a link and fill out some information. You'll take the assessment, then you hit the complete. You'll get a 100. It's only 1% of your grade. I actually got a bad grade on the assessment, and I was concerned about it, and I asked him about it. I was like, hey, I actually didn't get a grade. He's like, don't worry about it too much. This is used for the department chair to determine what will be needed to be changed, what will need to be changed in the program. So I was concerned because I was like, oh, crap, I got like a 68 on this. I was like, and it was little silly things like wording is what hurt me on that assessment. The mathematical part, or the mathematical part, I was like, eh. The wording, a few of those hurt me. Was the difference between getting a 70 or a 68, because they were each worth a point. And I was kind of like, why didn't I put, why did I pick those? But the part that I was actually concerned about the most, I took my time on, and that was actually the part that I got the best grade on. I think I could have got an even better grade on the assessment if I would have just slowed down and took more time on it, but it's more for them and less for you. So don't worry about, I mean, do the best you can on the assessment, because it is an assessment of you as much as it's an assessment of the class as a whole when everybody takes it. But don't worry about your final grade if you put your best effort into it, because it's just to help them see where they can improve the class. Um, I don't think, yeah, mine's gone because I already did a survey. But when you get to the beginning of week 4, it's going to pop up. It's like somewhere around Tuesday through Thursday. where they want you to do a survey assessment based on the class and the instructor, because they're going to want you to tell them how you perceive the instructor and how you perceive the class. What was difficult? What needed improvement? What did you like? They want to know what you like because they're going to want to know what to keep the same about the class. This is important because, like I said before, if you had an instructor, like after my buddy did his survey, that's when he finally got a chance to sit out with his instructor. He found out his instructor's not even a game design instructor, but they needed him because we had so many more students than the previous cycle that went through. So that was when he finally got to sit down with the instructor. But the information, he said himself, he was like, man, I feel kind of bad because I I was like super hard on that survey about the instructor about not getting responses and stuff. But at the same time, don't look at it as, oh, I'm being hard on the instructor, because that's giving them information they need. Hey, this instructor teaches a different thing, and we got him trying to do this class. It's not beneficial because these students need answers and they need responses, and we're putting too much work on this one instructor. So let's get another instructor in here to teach this so that he can go back to teacher when he does, and he doesn't have too much work on his plate, which helps improve how many students are passing that class, or improve what the students got out of that class, et cetera, et cetera. Um, During this month, you receive nothing. So unlike the previous month where you get your iPad, 5, 6, whatever generation you get at the time, during this particular month, we don't get anything. This is my final day for this class. So tomorrow, on Monday, you guys will be seeing this Sunday night when I post it. But on Monday, which is the very next day for me, boom, I'm in a new class. I'm not even in this class anymore. And the crazy part is, I won't even have my grade for this class until somewhere between the middle and end of next week. Halfway through my first week of my next class. Again, these classes for online students and in classroom students are only a month long. Excuse me. That's vital because you need to understand that once that week is done, there's no going back and improving it. And what you put into it, that's what you're getting back. So get up early. Spend every moment you can on it. Like once I turn in this assignment today, I'm probably gonna sit back, relax, finally play some Battlefield 5 on my PC. Go spend some time with fam. You gotta take your breaks too. That's something I didn't say. Take your breaks when you need your breaks because they are important. And in not taking a break, you kind of hurt yourself too because you'll stress yourself out from just doing too much with these classes. Take your breaks when you need your breaks. Put in your best effort into the class. Remember, even if it's the most difficult class you've ever had in your life, the class is only 4 weeks, so you'll be done and on to the next class after that. I think I have technologies and something in the game industry and entertainment, some class like that, which is the next class. So judging from how it sounds, I'm thinking it's going to be my cool down class because these classes work in like a intensity off, intensity off. Being that this is the third class I've taken, that's the cycle it looks like it's taken. Uh, Create a presentation. I think because it had me doing a lot of things I'm not comfortable with, I had to break my mold. That made it an intense class for me. And then my teacher, in particular, I loved the teacher I had in that class. There's a lot of things me and her shared in common. There's a lot of things me and her agreed on in terms of gaming. Uh, but she was a teacher that graded very hard on her students. And because of that, with the workload that I was putting in, I was thinking was A plus level. And she agreed. It was A plus level, but she graded hard. I came to her, I said something to her about it because I was like, oh man, like I noticed I'm putting in, and I generally do this in every class. I'll put in some work, and then I'll take the feedback that the teacher gives me, and I'll increase how much effort I put into the work based on what they give me feedback saying, hey, I need to improve on this, or this wasn't right, and I'll try to improve on it. I say with each step of these classes, you take what you learn from them, and fiddle around with it outside of the classes. Like my creative presentation assignment, I took the time to write down that assignment and work on it. I had to back out of that real quick because some people popped in. But I took the time to go back, work on that assignment, get some insight, and just play with it because I wanted to make sure, because you're going to go back and use these things later, that I understand it and to see how I can use it going forward. Because that's all everything we learn in this class is training tools. Uh, I'm gonna take this time now to bring in my buddy John. He's another person that's taking these classes, and I just want you guys to get a different perspective, a different insight of what's going on with these classes, and we'll just have John kind of give you guys his experience he had with this particular class for your third month, just so you guys can get a different perspective of what's going on. What's up, John?
What's going on, Willis? Definitely put me on the spot here, buddy. Wasn't ready for that. But yeah, no. I would definitely have to attest to a lot of what he's saying as far as the class is one of those things where you get out what you put into it. Definitely. Um, it's definitely a very like I've seen my growth going through from week 1 to week 4. I've seen how my game has evolved with this game design document, which is really, really cool because I've always been like the most fascinating thing for me, bro. I don't know about you, but like growing up and like going through middle school and high school and stuff like that, like when you did those little biology tests and things like that, and you're working through the process and going through just the scientific method, and that's always been fascinating to me. So it's really cool to see how the scientific method kind of incorporates to a lot of what we do with the game design document,
Right.
and that's been really fun, despite how stressed out I have been this month, just trying to figure everything out and making sure that everything is working properly as it should and whatnot. It's been a lot of fun. Like the playtesters who have been playing my game have been having fun. The process that goes behind it to me is it's fun. It's what it's the challenge that I expected and was looking for. I just wish that you know I had been able to get in touch with instructors more often.
Yeah.
I
See.
guess that to an
Uh.
extent, like
Yeah. John wasn't here earlier. Not to cut him off,
I've been here
but
the
he
whole
was.
time.
He he probably didn't hear the part where I was telling you guys about the experience he had with his instructor, where he just went those. This is the guy I was telling you guys about, where he had the experience where he was getting long periods without a grade or a response, and that in itself was stressful. And I agree with what he said before I give him back the mic. The experience is definitely stressful. This is a stressful class because the time crunch you have and what they ask you to do. These 35 to 60 page documents, they're nothing light to look at, especially compared to the previous two classes. It's almost like you know, the first class is like, and then the next class is like cakewalk. You just walk through it, and then you hit this class, and it's like they just slap a brick wall in front of you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
and then put you into like fifth gear.
and they're like, just go, and you're like, oh snap. But
Hit the ground running as fast as you possibly can.
I'm serious. The amount of time you guys put into the assignment would definitely pay back. Not in terms of just your grade, but in terms of your self accomplishment. Because you'll be able to say, like,
I did it.
man, look at this
That was
game
tough,
I
but I
created.
did
Look,
it.
look how much fun these people are having playing something that I created. And it's just gonna motivate you going forward towards the future things that you create and the future things you do. But yeah, go ahead, take the mic back, John.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like it's gonna get tougher because right now, think about it, man. Like we're only working on the analog side of things. The digital side of things are gonna be so much more because we're gonna be dealing with code and things like that. So it's nice to remind yourself. It was nice for me to remind myself. I should say I shouldn't be speaking in the third person. It was nice for me to reaffirm myself that like I can do it. I can keep my head above water even though things kind of are looking a little bit negative and against me. And even though like there is that like there was a lot of stress and like just a sheer lack of like direction in where I was going to take the game at a lot of points because I just wasn't sure. There was a few things I didn't understand, a lot of pivotal mechanics that I wanted to change that were changing the direction of the game. And I just needed clarification. And I mean, luckily for me, like I had kind of hit the nail on the head, and what my idea had worked for the project anyway by the time I had gotten in touch with someone. But it was just such a relief to like get that stress off my shoulders. But knowing that there's going to be a greater challenge moving forward, it's also good to know that like I was able to overcome, even if I don't get an A, or the best possible grade. I can come out of this knowing that I understood the material, I understood what it took to get it done, and I got it done. Like it's been a good kind of stress, the growth kind of stress.
Yeah. The level of relief after you turn in that last assignment and just can leave it alone.
Yep,
Oh
it's that
man,
pressure
like
that makes diamonds, man.
I'm telling you, that's gonna feel good. Like I was telling them, I was like that the amount of time you put into these assignments is really what you get back out of all of this. Because like John was saying, this is the foundation. So if you don't put in your best effort here, the cracks are gonna show later on in school. They're gonna show heavy. Because all of this, like flow charts and GDDs and MMAs, you're going to do these forever. So these thick documents where you have to go back and check your stuff, they're only going to get thicker because your game's going to get more complex. And you're going to have to go back to the basics a lot and be like, okay, where is it messing up? Where can I iterate? And I think even though these 10 tests, like me and John were telling you, we both did ours in person versus the online because the online was just too complicated. You see how vitally important the testers are. Not just in terms of them testing your game, but how difficult it can even be sometimes to get testers for your games. And that's something that I want to make sure you guys just really grasp about this class. Getting testers is not easy, especially when you get hit like I did. I got hit with a freaking snowstorm, and that took 3/4 out of my entire week away. Snowstorm, boom, no testers. So I was really crunching on Friday and Saturday to try to get testing done, and that's a lot when you're asking people to do 5 tests and get 5 different groups of people, and your game could have anywhere between 2 and 10 people required to play. That's a lot of people testing. Any thoughts, John?
Man, to be honest, that's pretty much it. That kind of pretty much hits the nail on the head for the most part. I mean, what it comes down to, and like, I've been watching a lot of videos of like game designers that are doing like talk shows and stuff like that. Like, this was just such a small taste of such a bigger world
Right.
that they talk about and stuff like that. The things that I hear them talk about where like you're gonna have moments where you're gonna crunch, you're gonna have moments where they're gonna be, holy crap, what do I do, like, and what really matters is like what it comes down to is this what you want, like, are you willing to bleed for this? You know what I mean? Like, are you really willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears? Because even after this class, like, I have like thoughts where I'm thinking, like, even after this class, like, I want my card game to be like, an
Polished.
efficient game. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I want it to be an efficient game, not just for the people who have already played it, but for the people who haven't played it yet and may one day play it. You know what I mean? Because I want it to be something that when people play it, they just genuinely have fun. Like, that's it.
And
Like, I want them to have a good time and enjoy the game. Like, even if it is something as simple as a card game. Like, it's one of those things where it's like it's not really excuse me, about the money so much as just it's about the passion. It's about building something and being able to say, I built that. Like, I,
That self-accomplishment.
yeah, like me and my team, like, oh, like, do you see that? Like, that cinematic right there? Like, my team and I built that. Like, we worked day in and day out, and we about pulled our hair out of our heads, but we came out of it. You know, we waded through the fire unscathed, and we created this masterpiece, if you will. Hopefully, I'll be creating a masterpiece one day. Fingers crossed.
Anyway, that was just, give you guys an idea of, because I told you guys I keep up with you and go month by month with videos of what's going on, what you can expect from the class. Uh, any questions you guys have, throw them down in the comments. If I get enough of that question, I'll do another video to go in more detail about it. If not, I'll just answer the questions on a one-on-one basis. I thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. This was Army 2 Willis and my featured guest, Blunted Baron, and I'll see you guys next time.
Peace.